Hello and welcome to Business Reporter's Project Management Campaign, hosted by The Telegraph Online. I'm Alistair Greener and today I'm going to be talking to Byron Nicolaides from PeopleCert about how diligent project management can bring success. Good morning.
Good morning.
Now there's an abundance of project management tools out there, handbooks, software and so on. Yet the experts claim that we're still failing. So if that's true, why?
Unfortunately, that's correct. According to a late IBM study, 60% of the projects fail. The main reasons for failure are lack of clear objectives and scope of the project, lack of management engagement and commitment, and most importantly, lack of proper project management skills on the people that run the projects. The good news though is that still 40% of the projects are successful.
So you say 60% are failing. I mean, that's a huge amount and it's going to be very costly. So why don't organizations just change? I mean, that would be the obvious answer.
That has to do with two things: fear of change and lack of project management methodology. Let me elaborate a little bit on this. Every project incorporates some type of change. And people don't like change. Organizations don't like change. There is fear of change, there is resistance to change, and this is not always very easy. I mean, we all know examples about this. And the lack of project management methodology is equally important because within a project, sometimes things are getting quite messy. Who is responsible? How is the delegation being made? How is the communication within the project stakeholders being done? Who is the real authority? Sometimes those ingredients are not clear at all. Fortunately though, there is an answer to both of those, and this is PRINCE2, Project Management Methodology from Axelos.
You've mentioned PRINCE2 there, so can you be a little bit more specific about it and maybe give us an example of it in action?
PRINCE2 is a generic project management methodology. And generic meaning it may apply to any project, any size, any industry, any country around the world. It has over 25 years of history and hundreds or thousands, maybe tens of thousands of successful projects around the world have employed PRINCE2 as a methodology. And it has very clear guidelines on authority, on delegation, on accountability, and on communication. So the result is positive. To give you a metaphor, let's think of a kitchen and a cookbook. I mean, if you want to create a meal, you must have the methodology, you must have the ingredients, you must establish the right authority in the kitchen, so at the end you have the right meal. If you don't do it with the proper methodology, regardless if you have the ingredients, you may not end up with the right meal. And this is exactly the same in a project management world.
Okay, well that's a big promise. So how can you be so sure that PRINCE2 actually delivers?
Because its shareholders, its owners are Capita and UK government. Both of them very respectable, very strong organizations, very experienced organizations, and are also heavily invested and heavily investing to the product so it remains current and it remains relevant. And it's also important to underline that PRINCE2 works with the agile methodologies. And we're living in an agile world, and this is very important.
Okay, that all sounds great, but ultimately it's still just a toolkit, and a toolkit needs people to make them work. So the big question is, how do you then find the right people, the right talent to be able to do that?
How do you find the right people? That's $1 million question, Alistair. Everybody in the recruitment world those days is talking about finding the right people. I would start, number one thing is the attitude. You have to have the people with the right attitude, and then come three things. And those are knowledge, skills, and experience. And those three magic words consist certification. Every certification is about having the right knowledge, the right skills, and the right experience to do the job.
So you're advocating certification, but what about university degrees, diplomas, CVs, things like that? What makes certification better?
A university degree is about knowledge. You go to the university and you learn something, you get the knowledge. Certification goes beyond it. Certification adds the skills and the experience to do the job. And that's why more and more universities, in order to become more competitive, they're adding certification courses in their curriculum. Because you have the right certification, it's much easier to find a job, or you can find a better paid job. In the US, lately there are studies that certain employers, they have the certification as a higher criterion than the university diploma itself.
But you're not the only company offering certifications. So what makes PeopleCert different to other organizations?
PeopleCert is a global certification organization. We have over 500 different certifications in our portfolio. We are active in 156 countries. We're delivering exams in 25 languages, in exams in any type of format, paper-based, computer-based, online proctored. And if you look to organizations that have taken a PeopleCert exam, if you think of almost any big name, just to name a few, HSBC, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, IBM, Microsoft, even organizations like NASA, FBI, CIA, Armed Forces, have taken exams from PeopleCert.
So it's all about certification, that's the here and now. But what about the future? Where do you see this going, say, in the next 5 years or so?
Well, one clear thing that's going to happen in the next 5 years is that the world is becoming more and more competitive. And this is true both from the individual's perspective, because it's becoming more and more difficult to get a job, as well as from the corporate perspective, where it becomes more competitive to get projects, and you need better and better people. The result of this is going to be that certification is going to be more important selection criteria. So I think in the coming years, certification is going to become more and more important. Now, looking specifically on the project management, of course, it's going to become much more important because it deals with complexity, and complexity is going to increase as well in the coming years. So we will need more project managers, better project managements, and the answer to this is PRINCE2.
Well, as you say, we're living in an ever-changing world, and the pressure is growing ever and ever to make sure that we have effective project management. Byron Nicolaides from PeopleCert, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.